I think righteousness, is a standard, right? Yeah. That none of us as mankind can ever reach. And that's why the word says that our righteousness is like filthy rags. And we have to be clothed in the righteousness of Jesus Christ in order to stand positionally before God the Father, as a son. And that's what I see when, we talk about God's righteousness. It's a holy standard that we can never attain unless it's through Jesus Christ and his righteousness.
Yeah, that's the same thing, that it's his perfect holy standard that God will always do what's true and what's right. Whatever he does is perfect and it's in holiness. And it's included with love.
So the ancient idea or the ancient concept of right and wrong was more of a forensic idea.
What do you mean by that?
Where it's your standing determined by a judge, right?
Okay.
It had less to do with morality, but it was kind of like you're in the right because you were determined to be right by a judge. That's kind of how the concept of it was. So righteousness means you're in the right, and wickedness means you're not in the right.
Okay.
Right? So, Paul is kind of hinting to that idea, like God's in the right, and he's always in the right. And he's developing this idea of this gospel message so that you could be in the right.
Right.
And he's basically saying, like, yo, dog, the gospel reveals how God could do that and stay in the right.
Right.
Because you just said something,
Right.
He's able to give it out. How? Right. So now the idea is like, yo, this he's a scumbag. How are you saying that he's right?
You're right.
How is God going to vindicate his rightness
Right.
through this gospel message?
Right.
So that you see Paul is setting up, right? He's setting up the gospel reveals God's righteousness, that he's always right and he's always in the right. And in order for you to have that fellowship, because God sits, his throne is holy.
Right.
In order for you to be able to have that fellowship in him, you have to be in the right also.
Right.
And then, as we go, we know. So the reason I'm saying it's not a moral, they're not looking at it morally.
Yeah.
You have to be declared right. Because Paul, we got to go into it. You can't obtain it through the law, right? As he's going to
According
unpack.
to God's standards. Right. According to.
And Paul's going to unpack it
Right.
Yeah.
in this book. But he's saying, the gospel reveals that God is right. He's always right. And he's able to make you right and still vindicate his rightness.
Right. And not change who he is.
He's not going to change.
Yeah, he's not going to change.
And kind of like the way I see it is like in terms of like the way you're saying that he's always right and he's here and he could declare you right and vindicate himself, is that looking at the gospel as strictly on a redemption side, is that you have to be redeemed to be declared right.
Right.
And that you cannot obtain it through personal holiness or some type of moral work on your part. It's not based on any human goodness. It has to be through a redemption thing. And I think a lot of times we tend to see like personal holiness, human goodness as some type of aspect of the gospel, when the gospel is strictly dealing with redemption. And what happened is that's the cause, and then personal holiness is an effect of it. So person comes afterwards because redemption, the gospel, is the cause, and then what comes therefore is personal holiness. But other people seek it the opposite way, thinking I need to be holy. I need human goodness.
That's what
and
Paul is destroying over here. Yeah. Paul is saying, listen, in the gospel, the revelation of God's righteousness is revealed, and the way for righteousness for you is based on this principle of faith.
Right.
And it's obtained by faith. That's just what he said right here. Yeah. And then after that, he's just going to start unpacking it and going into it. going into details, and he's gonna go into examples, and then he's gonna categorize these groups, and he's gonna, like Ann said last week, all of y'all getting.
Two to the head.
I'm bringing all y'all to court, and I'm gonna expose,
That's exactly
this group, he's gonna break down why you need to be in the right.